It's a great life to have, you know, and it's amazing. It's really a palace, you know. And I had some people coming to me and say, "Hey, I heard that Derek is fake." I go like, "Don't even tell me anything. I've been to his palace." He's not, you know.
This is Derek Moneyberg. You heard me say it for years, that poverty is a lifestyle choice. You know what else is a lifestyle choice? Success. Having $1 million net worth or higher. You know what $1 million buys you today? That's right, a pretty nice parking spot in Hong Kong. Not a lot else. Take advantage of the opportunities you've been given. My little friend here, Claudia Gadelha, 7-time national champion in Brazil, 3-time world champion in jiu-jitsu, UFC top contender. She came from a third world country. She chose to get the hell out of there and go make some serious money in America. She made herself a multimillionaire as a small girl from a not very good background, not a lot of opportunities where you grew up, were there?
Not a lot.
Not a lot where I grew up either. You know, you could choose to learn more and earn more. You could choose, like, if you knew better, you'd do better, wouldn't you? If you're the type of person that if you knew better, you would do better, I want you to join a special event that she and I are going to be hosting. Click that link. We'll see you inside.
And then I get maybe another comment that's worth making, and we'll go back to Q&A, but like, you can't be too concerned about, when you're doing things that are abnormal, the world is going to judge you negatively. And particularly the people that are closest to you, your friends and family, are going to judge that negatively. And they're going to judge that negatively partially because it causes them some cognitive dissonance about what they should be doing, but they're not. And they're going to judge you negatively partially because they just don't understand. They're like, you know, like, this is weird. You're working too hard. You're working too hard. This is weird. Are you okay? What's really important is balance. I'm like, you know, you're going to have to be able to deal with that. And if you do anything with the public is going to say such brutal things to you. Like, you have to become indifferent about it. That the public can say such awful things to you. When a fighter loses a fight, there's some words of support. There's some really nasty things that get said too, yeah?
Yes.
They don't care. They don't remember the other 25 fights that you won just in MMA. They don't remember that part.
No. Yeah. They want you to die. I want you to die. You suck. That's what they tell you.
Yeah. They say to me, Derek, you're fat. You're fat. You're fat. Some people still say that. I'm 12.6% body fat. Derek, you're fat. Okay. You can't be concerned about other people's opinions more than your own opinion. You have to have an awareness of, who you are and what you're doing, and you have to know inside of like, well, I'm going to be persistent. I was fat. I was fat for a period of time. Could I have done better? I guess not. I guess not at that time, because I didn't. Am I going to get fat again? No, I built some different lifestyle patterns, and I won't let that happen again. But, I got fat because they closed the gyms during the COVID hysteria. And then there was tremendous opportunities. I mean, I only spent, my whole life working to understand distressed investing and, particularly opportunities in the stock market during those type of hysterias. And well, the internet was saying, Derek, you're fat, you're fat. That's objectively true. I made $42 million. Well, they were making Instagram comments calling me fat. And let me say that statement different. I created an extra $42 million on top of what I had before then. Well, they were making Instagram comments. So I doubt, it seems improbable to me that anybody that made those comments was doing any better than I was, at least financially. I doubt I was outperformed by those individuals. So there might be times in your life where you're not doing everything optimally because there's something that's so important to you that you really have to be all in or focused there. So a world champion fighter understands that like there's times in your life that that has to be the only thing that you can pay attention to. And if the moon fell out of the sky, you'd be like, well, that's fucked up, but I got to fight in 5 days. Mm-hmm. Back to the gym.
Yes,
back to
100%.
Training. So I was just in a mindset like that I just had to be very focused on what I was doing. I was sleeping 3 hours. Too much caffeine. My immune system wasn't good because low sleep, too much caffeine. That wasn't healthy. If I had to an opportunity in the future like that, which I will, I won't get fat again because, you know, I built 2 gyms. I bought 4 homes and destroyed them and turned them into fitness facilities. I got some of the best people in the world ever coming to help me train and shit. Like, you know, I built the infrastructure that I'm not going to go to the gym again. I don't care what the government closes. I'm still going to the gym. It's right in the other room. We're good. We're good. Just got to walk right over there. We're good.
Must feel good, huh? Must be good.
Tell them that one. Tell them that story.
Yeah, whenever I'm in his house, I just feel like I'm in a palace, you know? Like the rocks, you know, like the beautiful rocks, the titties, the statues.
Titty statues.
Yeah, like all the stuff he has is just like amazing, right? I walk out of my guest room and I'm like in the gym. I go like, oh wow, that's a good morning, right? And then I walk into the kitchen and there's like meat, expensive meat every day. You're like, okay, Derek. And then we eat and we go train in the other MMA gym. I go, man, that must be good, huh? To be Derek Moneyberg, because it's a great life to have, you know, and it's amazing. It's really a palace, you know. And I had some people come into me and say, hey, I heard that Derek is fake. I go like, don't even tell me anything. I've been to his palace. He's not, you know. So, pretty cool.
You know, the couple guys that said I was fake, that person says I never went to college. I didn't go to the university that I said that I went to. Never went to graduate school. Says that I have an extensive criminal record with numerous felony convictions. I have 0 felony convictions. I went to jail last time I spent a night in jail, I was like 18. I'm 44. I have no felony convictions. I never did a damn thing that I was ashamed of. I've openly talked about any criminal stuff to anybody that gives a shit. I couldn't care less. So, you know, just summary of those couple things, we'll go back to questions, is like you have to be resilient. You can't care what other people say about you. You can't care what people say on, you know, Derek, you're fat. Okay. You're a scammer. You never went to college. I spent 9 years in college. I have photos of me on the stage with the dean and the assistant dean, not only giving me diplomas, but like awards for like, you know, the Dean's Prize for building the Chicago Booth brand. That I contributed more to building their brand name that year. That's an annual award. I got that prize. I did more to help the school's reputation than anybody else in school. And I'm on the stage with the dean handing me that. I say I didn't go to school there. So you can't be too concerned about these type of things. You can't be too concerned what your parents think, what your family thinks. If you set a goal, you just have to show up every day for your own success, you know, quietly and alone, and go keep making progress and build that momentum and build that momentum and build that momentum. And a few years later, when there's great results, you know, they're going to say they believed in you the whole time, always had your back. And by the way, can I borrow some money? Those are the 3 things they're going to tell you later. You know, that's a great time to probably move away from those people. You know, I don't talk to people that treat me that way, but some of you'll still have that family attachment, but have an awareness of what's going on at least, yeah. And you know, if you're not willing to focus on those details and little boring things like we talked about, don't worry, you'll never be successful at anything, and you know, you won't have those type of problems. But I recommend you do create those type of problems. There's a lot of great things and opportunities that come with it. Questions?
I just think that's kind of interesting because I tend to like to know what the background is of people who I want to look up to or who I think are getting good results. I want to know how they got those results and things like that. And I think it's kind of an interesting thing sitting here in this room because I've heard a lot about you. I mean, I've known you for about like 8 years or so, and I have a good picture of, you know, how you've got to where you are, and with Claudia as well. It's like her story is quite amazing, you know. And
it is.
I just think it's kind of interesting because to get your guys' thoughts on what, you know, like that's to be interested in people's, you know, how they got to where they are, to study them, to understand like, okay, these are how people got to where they are who are actually successful. Versus, you know, this idea of like only impressed by, you know, the outward appearances and just the end result. I
mean, there's these stereotypes in society of like, successful people wear suits or something. I think successful people wear whatever they want. They're not much concerned what anybody else thinks about them. I generally wear like some $70 sneakers, these T-shirts. I don't know what they cost, $11 or so. And when you buy a large amount of them, it's probably paid $11 for this shirt. These shorts I've had at least 10 years. Once in a while I splurge and buy a bunch of new socks. So I wait till all my socks they're so messed up, there's like holes in them and shit. And then when they all get to that condition, I'll throw them away. Once in a while I'll sew some up. If I'm in a hotel by myself, I'll take a little sewing kit and just laugh at myself and giggle like a madman and sew up a sock. So, to honor my Jewish heritage. But then later I'll throw them away. So once in a while I'll splurge and buy like 240 new socks. And then these are brand new today, their first day. So I just had that moment while I'm thinking of it. And if I do that, and if I want to wear $500,000 in jewelry that day, I can put on $500,000 in jewelry too. But and then I'll go get chauffeured around in luxury vehicles and so on. But I don't give a fuck what somebody thinks about my $80 jeans or my $70 shoes. And they see some guy in a suit and they think that's what success looks like. And I'm like, well, a lot of guys that wear suits kind of have to. It's part of their professional thing, So, I don't see a lot of attorneys or even business people wearing suits for just for fun. So it tends to be, you get the point I'm making. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of stereotypes like that like being a doctor is prestigious, and it is in some ways. But what is a normal doctor, the 50th percentile, not a high-level surgeon? What does a normal doctor actually make? So $10,000 a month to work 70 hours a week. A lot of times their health is neglected. A lot of times their wife is looking elsewhere. So there's a lot of stereotypes of anchors that are in people's head that are just kind of silly. Like I remember I had a professor. The guy's not really a professor, but he was a clinical professor that taught a class at U Chicago. And he's worth about $2.25 billion at the time. And he'd wear like a Timex watch. He'd frequently wear the same sweater that had like a hole in it, about that big on the front of his sweater. And I don't think he gave a f anybody thought about what he was wearing. He could go buy anything he wants. He could go buy your whole neighborhood and never see the place. Might stop by and take a piss there. Buy your whole neighborhood and burn it down, and never see the place and never miss the money, not know that he lost the money, So I don't think he give a f somebody thought about his sweater or his, Timex watch. But that's what he wore day to day, So I kind of made a note about that. I'm like, the fuck do I care what somebody thinks about, what I wear or those type of things. Like I just want to focus on winning. There's more winning, more winning, more winning. I like the idea of having freedom way more than I like the idea of money. I talk about money a lot, but I like the idea of freedom way more. And money just is freedom. It's freedom to spend time with people you'd like to spend time with, to not spend time with people you don't want to not have to be concerned about the opinions of almost anybody. So I just kind of think of it like that. How do you think about these sort of things?
It's crazy, right? Because like the average person, they will think that we like Derek made the money he made by being lucky, right? Like sleeping.
That's all it was. Yeah.
12 hours a day and not really working, right? They'll think that I got all the way to the UFC just because I'm a pretty girl. Oh yeah, she made it all the way there because she's a pretty girl, like they don't see the struggles, right? Like I remember going up and down the favelas in Rio de Janeiro, seeing people get. I remember seeing the crimes, seeing people getting killed, and I remember not having money to pay for rent. I remember trying to sleep the entire weekend because I didn't have money to eat breakfast. I wanted to sleep because I didn't have money to eat, And when people tell me that I got where I got in life because I'm lucky or because, I'm pretty. I just laugh at them, because I don't know anybody, and I have like a lot of people in my network that are successful, and all of them have done amazing things in life. They all struggled, they all failed, they all took the wrong turn and made it right later in life. So when I see somebody looking at me and at my successful friends and saying that we are lucky, or we just got here because we're lucky, I just laugh at them, because I know they don't have the courage to do what we did. So they sit in the couch and they talk about how lucky we are. They're trying to win the lottery, trying to become millionaire by winning the lottery one day, dreaming about that, instead of putting in the work every day, instead of, doing the things I had to do in order to be here where I am today, which is a lot for somebody that came from where I am from. I have my parents here with me now from Brazil. I went and picked them up 2 weeks ago. I had to go to Brazil for 3 days because I had a business meeting with Derek. So I went to Brazil for 3 days to pick up my parents and flew back here with them because they are older and I don't like seeing them flying by themselves. Some people are stupid, treat them bad because they're older, and I want to be there for them, And like they don't speak English. They are amazed by being in America. They never thought they were gonna have a daughter that lives in another country, has a good life. They look at my house and they go like, "Oh my God!" Like, my other sisters, they got married to men that take care of them, and I was the man, I was the one going out there and putting in the work brutally in a way that not a lot of girls are willing to do, Like for a long period of my life, fighting was my mechanism of winning. And I literally got punched in the face and kicked in the head in order to win, because that was the only opportunity I had. But then I was also smart enough to understand that that's not a long time career, and I was like always looking for the resources to give myself and my family a better life, so I know how much work I put in every single day, same work ethic. I remember like waking up so early to go down with favelas and go train in the gym with a bunch of killers. And some people that had the same dream as me is staying home and sleeping in and not really, wanting to put in the work. And I look at them now, I see like, oh, okay, I know why you didn't make it, like people that had the same dreams I had, but they were not willing to put in the work, and they still there, where I was 10 years ago. So whenever I see people like talking about high achievers and people that I conquered and chose to conquer good things in life, great things in life, I just laugh at them because I know they don't know what they're talking about, and they're not willing to put in the work, because you really have to put in the work in order to succeed in life and to do great things in life. The path to greatness, it's not easy, and it's not everybody that is willing to do the things they need to do in order to achieve greatness.
There's very few people that had something handed to them and had the sense to keep it. So, it's something like 88% of millionaires are people that made that money themselves. It's just a delusion that you're just gonna, people that inherit money find a way to f it up usually. Even if it's a lot of money, they f it up by later in their life or by a second generation. So. Yeah, I'm a lot less proud of money and a lot more proud of like similar type of things of like, you know, I don't know. I don't know a lot of people that, you know, there's nobody that grew up where I grew up. The people that grew up around me, there's nobody that's doing anything. Like not grad school, like not, like they're not doing anything. And like, you know, my father was in prison most of my childhood. My mother was, nobody said filthier things to me in my life than my mother did. I got more concussions from my mother than I ever got fighting with anybody else cumulatively in life. There's a lot of verbal abuse and, you know, physical, you know, violence in the house and around me. And, you know, I'm a high school dropout. I was around all sorts of drugs when I was a child and, you know, teenager and whatnot. You know, I went to college later, but, you know, I remember being, you know, early March, first week of March, 1997. So it's 26 years and change ago. I'm 17 years old and I'm walking into, you know, a cell block in the county jail where you're the youngest guy there, you know, and like, you know, you had a room full of men. It's like, you know, it's like this number of men like whistling at you, like whistling and like calling you like pretty names like a girl, you know? And, you know, fresh meat, fresh fish, blah, blah, blah. And then like, you know, I hear these type of things too, like, you know, oh, you got lucky, or like, you know how many other situations, you know, like just so many nasty situations like that from childhood. And yeah, I mean, I'm not even like mad at them. I think they're dumb, but I don't dwell on that point. I'm just like, you have no idea. It's just, you just kind of laugh, you know? It's like, you have no idea the numerous situations that I had to work through in life to do 5% of what I did would have been amazing, you know, would have felt great. So, yeah, don't get distracted by these type of people. I think that's the main message, is don't get distracted by those type of people. And like, you know, I mean, the resiliency that she has to go put in hard work and the resiliency that I have to go put in hard work is like, who's living their life so much better, you know, that it'd be like that impressive that you and I aren't already doing it.
Tell me, I want to hang out with them.
And I'm just going to say that next is like, if there's a person like that out there, we'd be natural friends. Mm-hmm. They'd be delighted to spend time with us. We'd be natural friends.
100%.
So there's very few people that are outworking her or outworking me, and we'd get along just great if we met each other. And the other people are just kind of irrelevant. Like, I can't stress enough that, like, you know, I've talked about this with my team. Like, I'm not going to spend time with anybody that causes little fusses, that does things that are not on brand, that are not, you know, in alignment. By brand, I mean, you know, what is the Moneyberg brand? It's like my sincere personality. So if somebody has a different vision, they want to do things to it, go do it. Go do it, but not with me. I don't want to spend any time with anybody that you don't keep your word consistently. Nobody needs my help to be a loser. Losers are already experienced that. They don't need my help with that. But I only want to be around people that are those type of people, that are resilient, that are tough. Their integrity is extraordinarily important to them. So I don't want to be around anybody else. And I'm not going to be. And I'm going to be more fussy as I get older. I'm going to be more fussy and more fussy because I have less time left in my life every day. So I'm going to be extremely fussy who I want to spend that time with. And, you know, I recommend that you people hold yourself to the highest standards that you can and work like that, you know, just endlessly. And, you know, you'll be able to spend your time around the people that you want to. And, you know, even if they pay you a decent chunk of money, you won't have time to spend with people that you don't want to. Some of you have that luxury already. But, you know, spread that gap even more and more. Even more. Maybe one more, and we'll wrap up for tonight. Yes, sir.
We talked about, you have a pretty long college education. And I don't know, Claudia, if you have had like official college type of education.
She has a bachelor's degree as well.
But obviously, we all have a really strong curiosity and learning capacity and always want to get better and want to explore. Do you think that, like, in today's day and age, that college is still as valid of an educational, like, place to be when you have all these amazing courses like you put together, and there is so much knowledge out there. You really think is as relevant and something we should consider, you know?
You know, for years and years and years and years, I'd say, of course, dumbass, of course you have to go to college. In the last few years, I think that a lot of the universities have really destroyed their reputation. That, you know, when I was going to graduate school, you know, 80% of what you would learn there is still, it was, you know, pragmatically useful business content. And most of the other 20% was mostly well-intentioned. It was just some PhD dork from Harvard that doesn't know the gap between, you know, his academic knowledge versus what happens in real life, because he spent his whole life in academia. And they're generally still well-intentioned, but, you know, just kind of a, you know, high IQ, hopeless dork. Can't change a tire on a car, can't tie a shoe, perhaps. I had a professor I'm thinking of specifically that was this way. His name is Brent Neiman. What up, Brent? I'm convinced he's have a difficult time changing a tire on a car. But he's got a lot of academic bullshit titles and whatever. But I always enjoy making fun of that guy, even publicly. Clown. But, you know, the bigger issue is, you know, when you start getting into, you know, the realm of political correctness, I think, you know, I said this in, I think, an ABC interview. I said it on one of the major news networks, it's ABC or CBS, I don't remember. But I said this on one of the major news networks that, you know, if a person that values political correctness over factual correctness deserves the terrible outcomes they're about to experience in life. That, you know, political correctness is nonsense. It's fantasy land of nonsense. Factual correctness shouldn't be controversial anyway. That's just called reality. Things the way that they are, reality as it is, or the thing in itself, as, you know, Immanuel Kant would say for a couple of philosophy nerds in here. And, you know, a person that wants to deny reality and fill their head with fantasy nonsense, how would you have optimized results behaving that way? How could you have anything close to, you know, champion level results when you're willfully filling your head with a lot of lies? And I think there's another issue for young people that are going to a university and sign off on some of these absurd statements that they want you to agree to, of, you know, diversity statements or whatnot. You know, I think it shows a lack of integrity for a person to agree to that. I can't imagine, even when I was, you know, 19 or 21, or I can't imagine, you know, signing a document like that is, you know, obviously asinine to any thinking person, you know, just contrary to reality. Like, I wouldn't have done that at that age. And I've been tested in a lot of tough situations. I just don't think I would have done it. So, you know, if I had to do over in the current environment, I don't know if I see the value in going to a university. I think no. There's a lot of nonsense being taught there. I can't even say that it's taught. It's an indoctrination. You can't, you know, you can get degrees in absurd topics today that there's no value in the economy for a lot of these things. Why do a lot of these people, they went to college and they want somebody else to pay their student loans? They want people who didn't go to college to pay the student loans of the people that went to college. If your degree is valuable, why would people who didn't go to college pay the student loans of the people that did go to college? If your degree is valuable, think how ridiculous that is. So, you know, you're going to go there to be indoctrinated into a lot of absurdities and, you know, communist, you know, socialism really leads to communism. That's just a precursor to communism. So these are a lot of communist philosophies, a lot of very absurd thoughts. And, you know, I've said this publicly the last couple of years. I think, you know, a university used to be a place, the University of Chicago, where I went to for graduate school, that was a place that you went. It had a reputation for decades. That's a place that you went where you know, genius level people, you know, an average person there has got 135 or so IQ. You know, you need 140 to be a genius. So everybody there is really quite brilliant. And that's a place where high IQ people used to go to have argumentation and debate, to openly debate topics amongst themselves with their professors, you know, in the tradition of Socrates and the Socratic method. And that was something that they were very proud of and talked about, you know, at least since the time of Milton Friedman in the 1960s and perhaps before then. Bertrand Russell was a philosopher that I respect and learned some interesting things from. He got his Nobel Prize. He was at Chicago for a couple of years back in the 1930s. It was a extraordinarily highly esteemed institution that you went to, that high IQ, ambitious people went to debate reality with each other, with the hope and intention of having a more refined model of reality, to be being closer to the truth, closer to the real driving elements that would create success in your life. And in the past 3 years or so, they've tarnished that reputation so badly that I don't know how you could ever think of it the same way again. It would take 100 years to build their reputation back. Or a place like UC Berkeley, which is pretends to be a good school, and there was a time where that was a fantastic institution. And it was commonly referred to as the birth of the free speech movement. And it's the exact opposite today. There's no free speech. Math should not be controversial. Science should not be controversial. Logic should not be controversial. Imagine who are the engineers in the room? How good would the world function without math and logic? How many of you are staying in skyscrapers somewhere in the city, a tall hotel building? Would you like to stay in those buildings from people who don't understand math and logic created those buildings? You want to fly in airplanes by people that don't understand math or think logic or reason are bad things? You want to fly in an airplane made by somebody like that? You won't fly. The good news is it won't get off the ground, so you won't crash. So these are just things that are so obviously absurd to any thinking person that, I don't mind talking about it because anybody who is alienated or offended by that, I'm not missing anything by not having a relationship with someone who prefers, political correctness over reality. So, I have a hard time, and it hurts me to say this, and I never thought I would say this, but I have a hard time thinking that it's a great idea to go to a university today. You literally can't learn the things that I learned when I was going to undergrad 25 years ago, when I was going through undergrad, graduate school. They literally don't teach those things there anymore. Everything is propagandized and nonsense. And, I don't know if you can get 40% or 50% of the education that I would have got, at the time that I went there. So I think that's really unfortunate. I think it's very sad for society. I think it's, it makes me concerned about the future of this country and some other places in the world. And I think it's very unfortunate, and it emotionally bothers me to say that I don't think I could recommend doing that today. I don't think I would do it today. That was very long-winded. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. Do you have a thought about the value of education?
Yeah, so I have a bachelor's degree in law in Brazil. At the same time I was fighting, trying to get my feet on the ground, I was going to college. I started training and fighting MMA when women was not in the UFC. So it was at the same time that I believed that we were gonna make it to the UFC one day, I wanted to have something to do if we didn't make it, right? And I remember Dana White saying, we're never gonna have women in the UFC, So I was going to college. In Brazil, if you want to become a federal agent, you have to go to law school. There's 7 things you can do if you go to law school, and to be part of FBI in Brazil, you have to go to law school first. And I wanted to be part of the FBI in Brazil. That's why I went to law school. And I think that gave me a lot of education, and I hanged out with people that were striving to be better from an early age, but today, a couple months ago, I was thinking about getting an MBA, and I called Derek. I was like, hey, Derek, I want to go get my MBA in business and finances, what do you think? And he was like, I think if you go through my courses, you understand what are you trying to learn from an MBA, you know? And I actually want to learn things from people that done something in life, right? So when I look at Derek, I go like, okay, I want to learn how he built his empire, you know? So I decided to not go to MBA and put all my energy and time into Derek's course so I can grow from that, you know? So that was like a decision that shows a lot that the value of, you know, college today, university today, you know, it's not the same anymore, you know? And when you have people that actually done a lot of good things in life, teaching you how to do what they done, it's kind of a shortcut. I hate that word, but it's a shortcut to success, you know? And I feel like it's way more fun. I have more freedom to study under Derek than, you know, being in an MBA school right now. It doesn't sound fun. So those are my thoughts about that.